I think David Cage is like Nicolas Cage, whereas he's a fine actor, but you gotta reel him in sometimes. The same way with David Cage. If you let him loose, he just goes buck wild.
That is the most succinct comparison I've ever heard. I'm sorry. I like the melding of brains.
It's all in the cage.
And I'm hoping Detroit Become Human is a national treasure.
Well, that's
I kind of want to kill myself after that. Welcome everybody to Multiplayer. It's now a musical podcast about video games. What my name is your host Guillermo Torra. Don't hear these lames. I'm trying to rhyme games. Welcome everybody. This is a show that you guys are all aware of, either on podcast or YouTube. You know where you're seeing it. You know how you're seeing it or hearing it. I have my co-host today here, Zach Matscanis.
Sup, baby cakes?
And Javier Ortiz.
What's up, baby boo?
You know we're in a good mood when we're always addressing all of our sexy fans.
As babies.
As babies, yeah.
We calling everybody baby now?
So, thank you guys for joining us. We have much to talk about. The first thing being, actually, Nintendo had its anniversary just last Saturday, depending on actually when you're watching this. March 3rd, to be exact. They had their year anniversary, and they have finally basically announced that, dude, they have sold in their first year just under 1 million units.
It's crazy. Nintendo's only been around for 1 year. Like, just all of Nintendo.
I know, they came out of nowhere.
Out of left field, this game called Zelda.
Yeah, his entrepreneur was like, I'm trying to start this business thing. It was like something like, so it's a Japanese
Miyamoto?
name. Yeah, I think so.
Miyamoto.
Miyatama.
Mitsubishi?
Yeah. Well, so Nintendo has basically come out of left field yet again with their Switch. They did a fucking fantastic year. They put out some really great games, and they're kind of like just owning the goddamn market. Crushing it.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, that they just announced that they're trying to restructure this year, moving forward with the Switch, and instead of actually trying to, upgrade their base model, which I'm actually super happy to hear, is that instead they're trying to focus on peripherals.
Yeah.
For their game.
It's very Nintendo. First off, it's like,
it's the most Nintendo.
It's like people asking like if there's gonna be a Switch 2.0 in year 2. It's like, well, no, of course not. Why would there?
You don't need it
why
so
would there
soon.
be one so soon?
But, I mean, in a world where there's a new iPhone like every other year, that's why. Like,
well, see, the thing is though, is that was just exclusively to like phone companies, and now it's moved on to the game console. So I'm actually really happy that they're not pulling the same shit they did with the DS, right? Where we have like 45 different like
but there's
versions
also like
of the DS.
Because it's like each version of the DS, it'll be like, it's typically like 2 years-ish apart, where it's like we'll get like the 3DS and then like the 3DS XL, and then we'll get like 2 years out.
Like so
well, I think they're doing that
end.
because they're the end of the 3DS is nigh, so they're just trying to be like, look, there's the Yoshi one, here's a new Super Nintendo one, here's a Mario one,
which aren't even necessarily like new models. It's just like the same model with like a different coat of paint on it.
New
Sure.
skins.
Well, they had like the 2DS like towards the end of its lifespan too, like the standalone one or whatever.
Yeah, you had the
2DS XL. But anyways, the point, the reason that they're focusing on peripherals is because they're already projected to sell another 20 million units for the next fiscal year. So they're like, instead of trying to do a whole new base model, we just need to go ahead and focus on actually creating enough for the demand, creating enough supply for demand. So they're wanting to go back on peripherals instead. Now, like an example of peripherals that Nintendo has done in the past would be like the circular pads for the 3DS, the notorious Rob machine for the NES, and then also I guess you could kind of consider that the Nintendo Labo or Labo is kind of a peripheral. That they're coming out.
Labo.
Wait, what is your take on that? Did we
it's
actually
Labo. It's Labo.
Okay, Labo.
That's ridiculous.
And you're saying what?
Labo.
Like Tybo?
No,
Labo.
like Labo.
Oh, okay. Labo. But so now, and that's like the cardboard games that are coming out for the Switch.
You're basically
on April
building
20th.
peripherals.
Right.
Yeah, you're doing the work.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. We should get paid for that. It should be free. It should be negative money. It should give us money when we get the Labo.
It's like going through the self-checkout machines at like Target and like Ralph's and stuff. It's just like, wait, hang on. So I had to shop at your store, and now you're making me ring myself out.
And I gotta bag my own stuff.
It's like,
do it all the work.
I am a being of convenience. What is this now? No, so now they're trying to focus on those peripherals, and I kind of wanted to like see. They haven't really announced any new ones. They're just like saying that they are going to focus on it, and also like on adding some more features and stuff to their online infrastructure situation, like adding more bobbity boop kind of things. So
no bobbity boop.
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to see what you guys thought about how you feel about them focusing on peripherals over like a base model. You guys kind of like already mulched over that topic a little bit, but I want to hear more in depth. And then secondly, what are some peripherals that you hope to see for the Switch? So I'm going to start with Hav first.
How dare you, sir?
That's right.
We're going to come back.
That's right. So one...
Don't take mine.
Shut your mouth.
He's going to take all of them.
I like like you said, I like the idea of them holding off on making like new models. Like we don't need a Switch XL or Switch 2.0 yet because it literally just came out and it's fine the way it is. I mean,
exactly.
Like, but I mean, in the future, I could see them making one that's like, this one's got stronger battery, or this one's bigger, more processing power, whatever. Something I think in the meantime, which would be kind of cool, is more focused on the Joy-Cons themselves, making them more like ergonomically designed, or adding something that could add, because there's lots of third-party like cases which have ergonomic designs on them.
Sure.
But like a first-party thing would be nice because I don't know about anybody else, but like, if you play your Switch for a while, like handheld, I don't know, like my hands kind of cramp up because it's just a flat, object that you're holding for a long time. So something more ergonomically based would be kind of cool. Also, if they added more like a stylus that could, go hand in hand with some apps, which doesn't necessarily have to be video game themed.
Yeah.
Because then you're getting more utility out of the touchscreen tablet that it is. Because I mean. Yeah, it's what it is. So I mean,
like a drawing app or something.
Yeah, or something like that, or like a notepad,
you're saying adding a stylus to it.
Yeah, like the 3DS had a stylus, because that was touchscreen,
and the Wii U.
And the Wii U, and like this is
trying to like.
Yeah,
but like this is a touchscreen, and it's a really good touchscreen. Like you can use it on the shop or on the news page, and it's really good at responding and like dragging and stuff. So adding a stylus with apps that coincide with the stylus would be nice, but. Yeah, I think those two like big things would be really help.
The stylus. Yeah, I like that. You're welcome. Validated. So okay, then I want to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Yeah. So
about the base model first.
Yeah. So as far as the base model goes, yeah, I think we're totally fine for another year or two. It's like maybe
generation. Like let's
give
it some space.
20 years.
Well, see, it's like I don't even necessarily want like a. Like we don't necessarily need like a pro version or whatever you would call it, but like if they did like like the iPhone S version where it's like this one's got a better battery, it comes with
that.
Why not?
I don't mean to be so like vehement about that.
It's not hurting anybody that already owns one. It's just like if you haven't jumped on board and in 2 years there's like kind of a newer version. It comes with like Mario Odyssey and like a nice bundle pack. It's like why not? It's like. By then I might just be a crazy man and want to buy a second one, and that'll be the one.
How cool would it be if they added like they do with the Game Boy, like the camera thing? You remember the Game Boy used to print your?
Oh yeah.
It would print your like the original selfie. You could print it like something like that.
I love my Game Boy camera, man.
Dude, actually, I'm surprised that might be on the next base model or like
just a printer.
A Polaroid just comes right out of the bottom of it. No, a camera.
I mean, I'm surprised it doesn't have one already because the 3DS has one.
I think they didn't want to. They don't want to stray too far into tablet territory, and I completely understand that.
Yeah.
But if they did, they'd probably start like reaping. Like.
Well, that's the thing. I think a big thing to look to in the future, and I don't know if Nintendo's going to do this, but looking at it as a gadget. I mean, because right now it's a video game system.
Yeah.
But if you were to look at it as an overall gadget, the possibilities are much more. Like, there's much more that you could add to it that could make it like an actual tablet. Aside from like the camera, but like business applications like Word.
Korg is doing a music
application. Did you check out that new game, Microsoft Word?
You can type so many documents. No, but like Korg is making a music creation app for the Switch. That was like announced. We did that a couple of like 10 episodes ago. I mean, we haven't really checked, or I haven't really checked on like the production process of that, but it is being made. So like those kind of business apps that you're kind of talking about, they're in development. It would be really dumb on Adobe's part to not do like some kind of like Illustrator app for the Switch.
Yeah.
Because especially to package it with the stylus would be a great idea.
Yeah.
I'd just take a new Mario Paint.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Or
Mario
that
Paint.
too, yeah. You're like, I'm not asking for much. Just-
Imagine the collaboration.
There you go.
Illustrator, Mario Paint,
So
Mario Illustrator. There you go.
Right,
That's
yeah.
better.
So what was the peripherals that you're
So
thinking?
first off, the it's something I didn't think about, but I thought I think it's a pretty cool idea. Is like a more ergonomic
Second
solution
validation.
to like, because that's one of my big problems with the handheld mode is like it is very flat. It'd be cool if it was more like, like the controllers were almost like curved, so like
Yeah.
you're, instead of having to like lean it forward yourself, it like naturally is kind of on a tilt, so you can hold it a little more, just a little better.
Like a
I
Ronin for your, like a steady cam for your,
Yeah.
for your Switch.
just a 3-axis gimbal.
Whoa, it doesn't move like a chicken's head.
It's like DJI is gonna make some controllers for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just something that hold it in handheld mode better, because I definitely like something I suffer from is like some like early
Dumbitis.
like straight up like early stages like arthritis. I already have
Oh, shit.
like
Yeah.
it hurts if I eat like potato chips for too long because I'm doing like claw motions.
Well, you
and
shouldn't be
stuff.
eating
like,
potato chips for very long anyways.
Yeah, I
If
know.
you're to the point where it's hurting your hand, it's
you're
probably
doing
not good
this,
for your
dude,
body.
That's only like that's like a couple minutes like
Oh, okay.
us and
Use
holding
chopsticks.
that chopsticks are the same
the
way.
worst,
They-
yeah, I know.
Don't
like,
even get me started.
my hands are just like on fire after a few minutes using
On
chopsticks.
fire.
So something
Sorry,
that
we gotta calm down a bit.
so
I'm all
something
over the place today.
you're drinking too much coffee.
I think it's what it is, really.
But yeah, something that be a little more comfortable in your hands, like something where like the weight of it is kind of resting on kind of on your fingers a little more. Would be good versus like it just being kind of a straight
Flat. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like as
bad
much shit
idea.
as the Wii
Yeah.
U gets. The Wii U tablet was actually comfortable.
It really
It's
is
a very
like the
comfortable
way
tablet to
because
hold.
it hooks
It was
ar-
thick.
yeah.
It had width to it.
But it
was
also
thick.
in the
Thick with two
back,
pins.
in the back, it has these little winged grooves
Yeah.
that rest on your
Yeah.
hand. So
Yeah.
it was like way more comfortable for me.
Actually, I ordered a third-party shell
Wii U.
that has a I got a third-party shell because a buddy of mine from work has one, or his roommate has one, and it feels really good. And it's like a good, it's like a tough rubber that like won't tear or break, and it's really comfy. So we ordered one of those.
Like a skin, essentially.
Yeah, like a little shell. It
Yeah.
has, but you can also you don't have to take it off when you're in dock mode. It can stay on. But the big thing is it's ergonomically based for the Joy-Cons.
As long as it's not like that weird controller condom that you had for your PS4 that left that weird
Oh.
looby substance on it.
Yeah.
Like that was
Yeah, the
weird.
silicone covers.
It's
gross.
pretty gross. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I took that thing off,
It was
looking
just
at
literally a condom. Like
Yeah.
you just put on
I
some
took
Durex on.
I took a few Lysol wipes to clean off my controller. I don't use that anymore.
So
That's why I gave them to you. But then
just booby trap your
but
your gameplay.
as far as like peripherals that I thought of,
Yeah.
first off, like I want I want some Joy-Cons, at least like the left Joy-Con with an actual like D-pad on it for like any like 2D games that I might want to pick up. Like that would be pretty cool.
Because you
and
want
then-
that like slide of the thumb kind of situation.
Yeah, it's just there's certain games that like the D-pad's the way to go. Like if I was playing like Street Fighter 2, I would want an actual D-pad versus like the analog
buttons.
stick.
4
that's
buttons,
on
yeah.
there. So
They have
that
a
would be
D-pad. I mean, like those bottom.
no, but it's not
C-pads.
like a real
I
D-pad,
got you. Yeah,
So
okay.
like I would want like a left Joy-Con with an actual D-pad, and then if and when, definitely when, I think Smash Brothers comes out, I want basically a GameCube controller broken into 2 Joy-Cons, so that I can just yeah.
Would that?
Wow.
Well, that's.
I'm looking at the controller right now. Like, how
Well,
can
that's on
Yeah,
the that's on
it's-
the assumption that you'd be playing this on the go, because you'd most likely be playing it. Like,
Oh, for sure,
on
but
your
I
Oh
would.
well, yeah. Pro
like,
controller's
if-
the way to
yeah,
go.
Oh, for sure. But like if I'm on the go, I mean, I would just want it in general. Like even if I never touched it, like my chainsaw controller. It's like I just.
that's
dude,
what I
if-
want. Is a
if I can-
chainsaw peripheral controller on
If I
the
can
Switch.
if I can literally just have the GameCube controller within like some Joy-Cons, that would be awesome.
That would just be cool aesthetic.
And there's actually like there's a guy, I can't remember his name, but he builds He takes consoles, like older consoles, and he builds handhelds out of them. Yeah, Miyamoto. Matomo. But he builds handhelds out of them.
Oh,
and the GameCube...
They did one for a 64 too, yeah.
Yeah, the GameCube handheld version looks super cool. And it's basically like... It's like a monitor with the GameCube controller split in half. And man, I just want that for my Switch. Like, I would never take those Joy-Cons off.
Actually really dope.
Like, I just love the GameCube controller. So if I could just have that, that'd be sweet.
I mean, there you go. Just, you're even like a Pro controller that is designed and shaped like a GameCube controller.
Yeah.
Would be super fine with me as well.
Well, it's also like, because the GameCube adapter that you could get for the Wii U actually works with the Switch. There's just there's no games that technically work with it.
Yeah, because
but
they did
you
a
can
firmance update for that. Yeah.
So it's
they didn't
like
announce it for that reason.
I'm sure that's gonna work just fine when Smash comes out.
I also, speaking of controllers, I forgot to mention, I saw this past week, there's a new adapter that allows you to use the PS4 controller on the Switch.
What?
That's awesome.
It's this company 8-Bit Do. I think that's what it is.
Interesting.
They have like a little USB thing, and it looks like a Mario block. And so that's what it looks like.
That's pretty dope.
So you plug it into the... I'm assuming it only works docked, obviously, because you plug it into the back, and then the PS4 controller just works.
That's awesome, actually.
So it's pretty cool.
I would like to do that. I would like to do that for like Celeste, I think.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a Pro controller, so like for that, I mean, I like the Pro controller for the Switch than I do more so than the PS4 controller, I think. But until I get one.
Yeah, but it's like really good for like multiplayer too, because like now you have like a bunch of controllers. If you have, because we all have PS4s, so if you brought the PS4 controller, and then Joy-Cons count as 2, and then you have a Pro controller. There's like so many controllers that you can use.
Now we just need friends.
Yeah, pretty much.
So one of the things I kind of thought for peripherals, and I don't really want to go too much further on this topic, but the one thing, and it's not even like practical, but if they just, essentially going off of your idea of the GameCube split in half, if they just did like the Master Sword like hilt, but like, so like the shoulder buttons would be the hilt of the Master Sword, and it would have like a little bit of like a handle, and you just shink into your pocket. That would be dope. I would
Like
be
a
so
Zelda
happy.
themed.
Oh my god! And you
Instead
know
of
what? Go ahead, slap on some speakers on that motherfucker, and he goes, "Na, na, 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 na." Like why not?
Instead of the
That's
snapping
awesome.
noise, it's just like shing.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you use the gyroscope to just make the sound, and really it's not even a Switch anymore. It's just like one of those lightsabers, but like
It's just the sword with just the Switch just skewered on it.
I mean, I would be happy with that. Like,
Yeah,
they don't have to make another base model for 20 years. I'd just be swinging
This
that
also
thing.
like isn't a peripheral thing, and this is really quick. I also would like to see an update just on the software of the Switch itself, like because when you turn it on, it's kind of boring. Like, it's just a white background.
I think that they will
your
once
tiles
once they get the online infrastructure kind of set up. I think that they're going to go ahead and revamp that. The
Yeah,
way that like Xbox Live did with the 360. Remember that like one oh you didn't ever have a 360?
No,
Have you?
but I
had
mean
that.
I've seen.
Oh, okay, but like there was one
it's-
day where it had like just like the tabs that you would like scroll through, and then like there's a big update, and we're like, what is this? And we turn on the Xbox after the update like finished, and it like did this entire like cinematic, and it had this whole new brand new look. And we're like, holy crap! I think it's kind of the same thing.
Like PS3, PS4, they're kind of in the same boat where it's like, when a system first comes out, the OS is pretty bare bones, and then they add and add and add, and then it's like, you kind of forget about how they originally were. You go back and look at like some of the original like OSs for some of these consoles, like wow, that's just garbage.
Yeah.
But
The thing is that they have plenty of time to think about that because they are trailblazing in the industry right now.
Yeah.
They're setting new standards for gaming in general, kind of in the same fashion. Like let's be honest, the Wii, not the Wii U. The Wii was a black swan. It was like a very improbable thing that came out of nowhere, and it just like killed, and like it brought video gaming to a much broader market and demographic.
Like super mainstream.
Right. Yeah. And so, I mean, to the point where people who'd never owned a console in their life, they had at least one or two Switches.
They had Wii Sports.
Casuals.
Yeah, I know, right? This cashies. But the Switch has kind of replicated that whole trend. I mean, like, at this point, the Switch has become a very household term. I mean, like, it's extremely kid-friendly, family-friendly. It's... I mean, I can only imagine the potential it has if it starts adding, like, streaming apps of, like, how it's going to sweep.
Yeah.
And if they did want to go the route of, like, actually doing more business apps. I'm sure that would be
right.
good too.
Once they had a browser and like YouTube and like
Exactly. So the thing is, though, that because they're doing so well, is that they're actually kind of forcing the other big companies, so Sony and Microsoft, to kind of restructure their own situation. Like, it's not been confirmed, and I heard it from a source that I can't name, but Microsoft is developing basically their version of the Switch, which isn't very surprising because like we've seen these kind of copycat situations happen before.
Right.
IG the Zune, so so now we have Microsoft developing a handheld gaming system that's trying to compete with the Switch, and we just heard that Sony is announced starting April that they're going to try to restructure and focus more on first-party games, which is like kind of surprising to me only because I've always known Sony to be a leading force in first-party games.
Yeah,
that's why anyone buys the
That's what Sean Layden told us at E3.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's what,
It's like they don't got the games. They don't got the games.
The Coyoons. Camarella, am I right?
Yeah. Why did he become so fucking...
You're the soprano now.
Yeah, he was just sitting in the back of this like Italian restaurant, just eating like bowls of pasta. And it's very shady situation.
I understand, absolutely. Sean Layden. So there you go. So like the CEO is basically saying that too. Like they have the games, they have the market, but now they're wanting to restructure and put more focus into that, which I believe is coming from a place based off of their success with Horizon Zero Dawn. I mean, like, it sold 7.6 million copies. It has now been dubbed, like, the most successful, what's it called? The most successful new party franchise from Guerrilla Studios, right? Is that their name?
Guerrilla Games.
Guerrilla Games. And it just won the Best Story Award at the DICE 2018 Awards, too. Mm-hmm. So that's really doing a lot for them, and I think that's what they're kind of basing this decision off of, right?
Yep.
The only thing is that I feel like, that their restructure on quote-unquote trying to create more attractive and powerful first-party games might be a hindrance to them considering how booming the indie game market is right now. I mean, Microsoft has a bunch of indie games in develop right now. I mean, Cuphead was a huge contender back in E3. Actually, nominated for a slew of awards. We have the Nintendo Switch, which is like basically been unofficially dubbed like the indie machine.
Yeah.
And Microsoft also has Ori and the Blind Forest 2 coming out, of course, with a whole other slew of independent games as well. But now Sony's wanting to kind of restructure, and I feel like that might be the wrong move. Especially in today's market with these other consoles. I kind of wanted to bring that up and see what you guys thought about that, and whether or not this is a good thing that you believe Sony would do, and if it might have some repercussions, such as like pushing other indie developers away from Sony and actually really hurting them in the long run. Start with you first this time.
Shut up.
I don't think it's going to hurt them at all, because it's like you got to think about it in a way where it's like, so Sony has all these studios that kind of work under the Sony umbrella, like Sony Bend and like Sony Santa Monica,
Sony
and
Japan Studios.
Yeah, Japan.
Japan Studios.
Yeah,
and so they have all these.
Too, right? They're in with Blue Point. I think it's what their name is. They did like The Last Guardian and
well, that's Studio Japan. Maybe Blue Point's part of that, because they also have like there you go. Because they have like a bunch of like supporting studios as well that sort of help with some of their bigger games.
Sure.
So I think like Sony has this like this thing going for them where it's like they just have these killer first party games. They have their Uncharted. Yeah, but they're just continuing to just drive that force, I think will just people obviously they want those huge AAA games like the Uncharted, like the Last of Us kind of games. Once you get there, there's going to be kind of this library of these indie games from these indie developers as well. It's like those people are still going to make those games, and the indie guys, they're going to go for the platforms that are selling really well.
Right.
And PS4 has done tremendously.
Right.
And
they're second to Switch right now.
Well, the
PS4
PS4 has sold more units overall.
Oh, it's just that the
obviously.
Switch beat them out on like
A few
first year
months.
sales.
Yeah, it's basically the fastest selling system in
Got
the
it,
U.S.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's
Not to brag.
so like Sony doing their big AAA push
Sure.
with their own studios, I think is just fine because we're still gonna get these like. I mean, that's why I love Sony. That's why I bought the PS3 and kind of fell in love with the PS3 and the PS4 is because all of their first-party games. But from there, I can play things like Guacamelee. I can play things like Braid. I can play things like Limbo or whatever else is just coming to the platform, or like Towerfall Ascension is
Hellblade.
like Hellblade. It's like
Well, I wanted to bring that up is because that was a kind of the first game that was trying to dub or coin the phrase. Was it a AAA indie? Is that what they're saying?
Yeah,
Something
pretty
like
much.
that. Like just like the mid-level. And I feel, especially of how well that did, and it was a Sony exclusive, how well that did for them, especially like during the Video Game Awards as well. They got a whole bunch of awards, and if they're trying to focus more on first-party games, is that going to shut up doors of opportunity for developers like Ninja Theory?
Yeah.
Okay, not Team Ninja. Okay, Ninja Theory of doing other more of these really ambitious projects like Hellblade.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, I'm gonna hold my opinion, but I want to hear from how.
I also don't think so. I mean, it's like you just said. I mean, the PS4 is still the number one sold system of the modern generation.
Sure.
So I mean, independent developers are obviously gonna be like, well, of course we're gonna make PS4 version. Or I mean, I don't know if they're gonna be like, because our indies like, unless they're bought up by Sony or Microsoft and Nintendo, they're not. Like they don't make exclusives. Like they're usually pretty broad with.
They
their
are pretty broad because
releases.
it's these indie developers that want to have players playing their
Right,
games.
exactly. So I mean, I don't think it's gonna. I don't think that hinders any development on Sony's side.
Well, it does in the sense that they could be doing what Microsoft is doing and buying up the rights, the exclusive rights of these games like Cuphead, or like Ori and the Blind Forest and other indie games that I don't know about because I don't fucking own an
Right.
Xbox. but the point is that they could be doing that as well because I mean the Nintendo has like a lot of independent games that are exclusive to its console as well. Not as many as
I
Microsoft.
can't think of any off the top of my head
I don't
right
think
now.
I don't think that their focus is truly on that, but they are pushing a lot of indie
Yeah.
games because they know that the market is there for this console because it's perfect for it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. Like, do you think that putting more of their assets and everything into the AAA market is better than? Like,
Well, I think so because when you get games like The Last of Us, like that speaks for itself. Like games like The Last of Us, Horizon, which also had an amazing DLC to boot to the game, which was also really good. I mean, those types of titles sell systems.
Exactly.
Honestly, like my PS4 came with The Last of Us and Arkham Knight, but I mean, The Last of Us still like I got that game bundled with my PS4 because it's an amazing
Why
game.
not? Yeah.
Yeah, but like games like that, you can sell bundles and exclusive bundles. I mean, games like Uncharted, like the Naughty Dog. As long as Sony has Naughty Dog, I mean, I don't think bad things can happen. Like they continue to make amazing games every
they make
year.
mistakes. They've got a couple of mulligans.
But honestly, their first part. I mean, not first. Their AAA titles that are exclusive to them are console sellers. Like they're that good.
That is true. I mean, that's
yeah.
what they're known for is their library of games. And I mean, like that's. So it's weird that they're restructuring because it seems like that's always been the structure.
Yeah, it seems like it, but I guess they're just gonna double down.
I'm
They're
fine
gonna
with that.
take some of their
Yeah.
like I already forgot their name. The guys that did Gravity Rush, for instance. It's like they're kind of like they did that and Siren, something Siren. I can't remember it. I'd have to look them back up.
Yeah,
But so they did the Siren series and they did the Gravity Rush series. Gravity Rush series. And it's like now what are they working on? It's
Right.
like they're basically like a team, a development team that works within like Sony Studio Japan. And it's like, well, maybe Sony, instead of like, because Gravity Rush is kind of like, it's a smaller game,
indie game.
it's like
Yeah.
it's something that I would consider that sort of an indie game within Sony's umbrella of games. But now it's like, hey, let's give you a fat stack of cash to make something super crazy. Like let's make just like make a new IP that's gonna crush it like Horizon did.
I feel like it's a safer bet on Sony's part, and I guess that's what I'm kind of against. Is that like I would prefer, since this company is doing so well and has a great library of games already, I feel like they have the ability and leeway to take risks the way that Nintendo is. Like look at the cardboard Labo thing is a huge risk. Like that could potentially just
But that's Nintendo.
I know, but like that's I'm trying to say that I want Sony to be more like Nintendo. But I want I think it would be interesting if they started to, like, instead of like, okay, we're gonna go with the safe bet and definitely push the AAA games. It's like, no, fuck that. Let's try to see if we can like branch out and let's like bring in these like interesting artists to make something that is potentially, kind of risky, whether it be controversial, whether it be something that's more thought-provoking, or whether it's just a more experimental experience, like
in terms of
what
think about it like this, though. Think about like any new IP is an enormous risk. I mean, you're just dumping hundreds of millions of dollars into something like Horizon. Like, I would hate to imagine what that cost to make. So it's like if they're dumping more money into original IPs, hell yeah. It's like I would love to, like, if every 2 years, like, one of Sony's studios are making a new Horizon type game, like a new IP that's just had tons of money pumped into it, hell yeah. Give me those games. I will gladly eat those up, and then any of the indie games that are on the PS4, I will play those too on top of it.
And in that case, I will rescind what I said, as long as they are actually doing new IPs. Because if they're just going to be continuing like the Uncharted series, continuing the Last of Us series, banking on what they've already made.
No, I think they want new IPs, because it's like Horizon did.
Like Naughty Dog always has new IPs. Like they went from Crash to like Sly Cooper, or not Sly Cooper, I'm sorry, not Sly Cooper. Jack and Daxter. Then they went to Uncharted. Then they went to The Last of Us. And so like, they're always making new stuff. And then Guerrilla went from Killzone to Horizon, which is just leagues beyond Killzone, And so, like, not to say, and also Sony has these remasters that they're going to be coming out with, which hold down the market until they can push out, a new IP. Like,
are you talking about Spyro?
Yeah, like Crash. Well, Crash came out, and then the Spyro thing is probably going to happen most likely. And so, like, that stuff, it entices people to be like, wow, that's, I can play all the original Crash or Spyro games on my PlayStation. And then in the meantime, they're working on, Last of Us 2, whatever new game Naughty Dog comes up with.
That's also, like, that's just Activision making a game. That has nothing to do with Sony.
Well, it's not Sony exclusive? Really? The Crash Bandicoot game wasn't Sony exclusive?
Well, it is, but
but you can mod your Xbox to play it.
No, there's talks of it coming to Xbox.
Yeah, but it's not. But it's not there. Like,
it's not there, but that wasn't like a Sony deal.
There's talks of Mario making a movie, so fuck. Like, it hasn't happened yet. It's like...
So why don't you just shut your mouth? Well, the thing is, too, is like, it sounds like Sony is trying to do a lot with the out with the old and in with the new kind of mentality. Like, barring aside the remasters, but like, they just announced that they're going to take off the PS3 and PS Vita from the PlayStation Plus like streaming store. They're going to take those off. They're putting more emphasis on hopefully new IPs, which it sounds like you're kind of both in a unanimous agreement that that's what they're going to be doing with this announcement. And then also we have David Cage coming in, just swinging his dumb, ham-fisted fucking narrative, like, I don't know.
You don't like that
genre
guy.
bending. Yeah, we have lots to talk about. We'll see. So essentially what I mean to bring up him is, they are going to be putting more money into AAA games. Well, announced recently, May 25th has finally become the release date for Detroit Become Human, which is David Cage's new game. Nice. Right, so that's Quantic Dream, that they're known for Indigo Prophecy or Fahrenheit, depending on where what region you were when they came out. Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, whatever the fuck that was, and then now we're having Beyond
Detroit Become Human.
Yeah.
Beyond
Detroit, Prophecy of the Fahrenheit Human.
I'd play that.
Sold.
Yeah, done. I mean, it's pretty much what he does with his games anyways, where he just like smashes the genres together and goes, look what I made. Come with me. I know the way.
I know the way.
So, a couple of, I guess, okay, I'll go ahead and let you guys say your piece about the game. Are you excited for it?
Yay!
Okay. I think it looks interesting.
Yeah, I think it looks super interesting.
Yeah.
I know, for some reason, you hate David Cage and his dumb face.
And his
but
dumb fists.
Like, dude, when Heavy Rain came out, I just loved that game. I just hadn't played anything like that game, and
I mean, we got arguably the best line from any video game come from that game.
What's that?
Sean!
Oh, no,
Sean!
No, it wasn't Sean. It was
Jason!
Jason!
Yeah.
Jason! Jason!
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I loved Heavy Rain.
Yeah,
and it's like, and it had its flaws. I'm not, and you know, you go back and play it now, and it's like there's things with like the dialogue that's very dated. The controls are a little clunky, but it's like, man, that was just like an interesting game when it came out.
Yeah.
And it's somebody doing something different than everything else that's out there. Mm-hmm. And like those are the games I want to play. It's like it's just I love people that just take risks, do something different, and you know, make a game that I'm probably not gonna play anything else like it for another 5 years.
But only because like no one's that dumb to make a game like that.
Damn.
Here's the thing. Oh, fuck. Okay, I'm gonna.
Despite all your rage,
You're still just a rat in the cage.
you're still just a rat in the cage, a David Cage.
God damn.
No, I mean, what do you, I think this game looks pretty cool. Like I remember when we saw the booth at E3, I was really interested. Like it's an interesting concept. Like it's cool sci-fi, you know, future. It just looks cool, man. Like I don't know what you want me to tell you. I think it looks interesting.
I just want to know, like, so you're excited
some
about
fun.
it.
Yeah, no, I do want to get it because I thought it looked really cool, and I thought the trailer was pretty badass.
I mean, apparently, like, you know, this is coming from David Cage himself. He says that this is Quantic Dream's most ambitious title to date. You know, so coming from him, that could mean a lot of things.
Because he's an idiot.
Yeah. Well, no, the thing is,
Big dumb head.
I mean, one of my favorite games, I think it probably hasn't aged well. I haven't played it since, but Indigo Prophecy, I really enjoyed that game. Heavy Rain was a great experience for me as well, including the Jason, that part.
Jason!
Yeah, and but you know, for me, where it kind of just derailed was Beyond Two Souls, because I was very excited for that, because I was definitely on the Cage bandwagon. Then that game came out, and it was like trying to be a thriller, a crime drama. Willem Dafoe is there.
Willem Dafoe's awesome though.
Right, but then it was like all of a sudden talking about like Native Americans, and then there was this sci-fi situation. Now you're battling this ghost monster in the desert. You're like, what am I playing? I literally turned off the game after that scene happened. I was like, done. It's like, it's like I don't want to play a collage of like David Cage's favorite film moments, in a video game.
I think it was something where they tried to bite off more than they could chew, and it was just like it was sort of
This
like
is his most ambitious title yet. So what is this gonna be? You know, like
I feel like they probably learned a lot from that game.
Yeah,
I hope so. So essentially, too, like he's saying more things. I got a couple quotes like pulled up. The next one is each story, which is about 3 different androids, which we kind of like jump between storylines, which is pretty like on par for his games.
That's a David Cage.
Yeah. He says that each of these stories is, quote, almost as unique as your DNA, which is bold.
Nice.
Because my DNA is real fucking different. Your DNA is real fucking different.
It is.
Your DNA is super different. You know,
So
like
are David Cage games.
I actually don't have any DNA.
I knew that.
It's a lifestyle choice I don't agree with.
Yeah.
And then, and another thing that this game is kind of, it does look really pretty. The trailer did kind of grab a hold of me, but I am still skeptical, like kind of taking a step back and seeing what it's actually going to be. But one of the things that actually has gained some controversy. Jeez, I'm trying to do things at the same time here. I don't even know. There we go.
Set that timer.
Yeah. Some controversy that's actually come from the game itself is there's depictions of domestic violence in the game. And this is something I kind of want to bring up because our last episode was a very thoughtful episode about talking about a game that was a browser games that are based off of rape culture, another one that was based off of like fake news and how to spot it. And then David Cage, again, is coming in, and this is a quote on the domestic violence depiction in his game context. He says, "This game may be seen as controversial as it explores a number of sensitive topics that some people may consider inappropriate or taboo for video games. But maybe this is the most fascinating aspect of Detroit. We hope that it sparks some meaningful conversations," not the game, but the city.
The city?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
We hope that, the quote continues to say, "We hope that it sparks some meaningful conversations, and we're looking forward to hearing what you think about it." Now, as everyone knows, our viewers know, that we are all in agreement that games that provoke controversy and conversation are definitely good.
Yeah.
Hey.
I don't think David Cage is the person that should be doing this. That's like Quentin Tarantino like coming in and being like racism, but he's like a white dude and he's like using the N-word all over flippantly in his movies. Like I feel like that's what David Cage is of the video game world, kind of.
I don't know, man. I mean, it's like
every game, there's like the quintessential scene of whatever female protagonist that you play as, that she's walking around in sexy underwear and then she's taking a shower for no reason that has any kind of like really any kind of narrative like value. It's just like, oh, polygonal boobs, whatever. I couldn't even say the word because I'm so dumb. And then there's like the gratuitous sex scene in his games, which I'm not opposed to sex in video games, but like David Cage is just throwing it in there because he can. It feels like so like. He's the forerunner to be talking about controversy in video games. Like,
see, here's kind of the other side of that to me. It's like, his games are very like, I think they're like in general like very mature and everything that it's doing. And it's like one of the first things I did in Heavy Rain, when you start playing as the female, is I walked into the bathroom for whatever reason and
looked at my memories.
And one thing I like to just do in games where you can interact with a ton of stuff is like, oh, what can I interact with? So I went up to the toilet and I was like, oh, can I interact with the toilet? And she sits down and she just, drops her pants and she pees in the toilet. And it's like, it's not there for any specific reason. I mean, that's not advancing the plot, but it's just like.
That's my point, though. But you're proving my point.
No, but the thing is, it's like.
Can you do that with a male character?
I think so.
Okay.
Right? Can you? I can't.
Okay,
I can't remember.
Fair enough. It's just then it's like some weird fetish that you can do with the female character.
But it like, nothing in the game's like beating you over the head like, oh, this is supposed to be sexy because it's sexy. It's like, no, she's peeing because that's just like a thing that people do. Okay. Like they weren't making anything out of it. It was just like you can walk through your house, you can make a bowl of cereal, you can go to the bathroom, you can pee, then wash your hands. Like it was just very like. Or, you can get in the shower and take a shower, guy or girl. It's like, it was nothing that felt like, it was like, oh, they're just trying to be super sexy with it. It was just like, it just felt like real situations.
But he definitely does put, and I don't want to dive too far into this specific subject of the game, but, I mean, he does those scenes, they're much more, like, revealing and, like, very intentional like camera angles for like the female characters as opposed to like the male characters, right? It's like I can't like. Here's my point: is that I can't remember ever having the ability to take a shower or it being so prominent of a point in the narrative as I do remember with a male character as I do with the female character.
Yeah, I mean it's just it's been so long since I've played Heavy Rain. I can't remember like. Who's doing what anymore. Right. But it's, it's just one of those things that it never stood out as something off-putting. It just felt very natural in a lot of ways to just, like, you don't have to do those things. You can if you want. Sure. It's just kind of there, and nothing felt out of the ordinary about it. It's just like, oh, this is just something that's kind of happening. Yeah, and I kind of like the games because of that. Like, it's just something that's like, you don't really see that side of life in video games. It's like
just the mundanity.
It's just like it was something very interesting to kind of have in a game. It's like like when I see that kind of thing in a movie where it's just like a character sits down on a toilet and starts to pee, which I know I've seen some movies like that and I can't think of it, but it's just something you hardly ever see.
That's the dark area of the web is what you're thinking of.
No, it's just like it's not something you see very often in like something like a movie or a show.
No, I do. I'm making fun, but I do know what you're talking about. Yeah. And I agree with that as well. It's like not hypersexualizing something because it's just a normal act that people do. And again, that's why I'm not trying to like emphasize this in the game too much. The only reason I bring that up is because like. He's wanting to put like controversial things. I'm worried that he's just doing it to be controversial and not but not to actually like provoke thought. Like
I don't know,
just to be like, ooh, I did it. Like Lars von Trier with his dumb movies. Well, there's argument.
But I saw the first the first time you play as Kira in like they have like that whole kind of gameplay preview of that first scene with Kira with the domestic violence stuff, and. Man, that's a really intense scene. I wasn't even playing. I was just, watching somebody play it. And to be put in those situations where it's like, what do I do here? Like, do I help the little girl that's going to get beat by her dad? Like, what? It's such like an intense situation.
Can you actually describe the scene a little bit? Because I'm not
So
myself, including probably some viewers.
Okay,
has
so
not seen
basically
this scene.
So in the gameplay that I saw, for I think it was like an E3 preview or something. You're basically playing as one of the androids. You know, obviously you're a servant in this house with a dad and a daughter, like a young daughter. I think she's like 12-ish. Something that if I'm not mistaken, like something that happens to you is like you go and you get like your memory wiped as an android because like you had like become friends with the daughter and
Okay.
and you know it's like it's just like a very abusive household, and it's like you as the android, like you're not like you're programmed not to do anything about a situation, like you're just kind of there.
You're there to serve. And
so you're in this situation where you know now you got this like very abusive household, and it's like you have to decide like what you want to do as this like servant.
Essentially you're playing as an observer to this father beating on or abusing the daughter,
right?
Physically abusing. Okay.
Yeah, and it's so you know, and from there, like the story just branches in like a million different directions. So it's like, what do you do in that situation? And it's like, and the daughter could live, she could die. It's like, you know,
depending on your choices.
Right. There's a lot that could happen. So it's something that's like, it's a very intense scene for a video game, and something that I don't think many games dive into. Like domestic abuse is like such a that's a tough topic.
For sure.
And I felt like it was handled well in what I saw. It's like we never see the father strike the kid or anything like that. Like they're not going for that O factor, you know. But you know this stuff's going on, and you gotta figure out how you gotta decide what you want to do in this situation.
Well, that's the case. Then I do look forward to those kind of topics in his game. I'm just more. It was more coming from this like the heated passion.
You're just
of
mad about Beyond Two Souls.
It's truly what it is.
We all are.
Yeah. I just hope that he's become a little bit more focused, because he does go on these like weird genre narrative tangents that I think is very Cajun, if you will.
Cajun.
Yeah, it's very Cajun. No, and I just hope that he narrows his focus and sticks to his story, because he can tell a good story. I mean, we've seen it before. Just as long as he like is held a little bit in restraints by whoever that power is given to, and whatever controversial things that he inputs in the game, I'm for, as long as it's done well and and treated with the kind of, if you're going to do it realistically like that, then like go for it and like really provoke those conversations. It's just like I'm worried because his focus is all over the place, and so like that's what my original thing was. Like, is he just adding this in just to add it in, or is it
don't think so.
hard to? Okay,
I think like
I hope not.
You know,
I hope it's
I
not
think,
gratuitous, because that would be like really ridiculous.
I like to think all his intentions are good, whether they end up.
I like to think that about everybody. That would be like the ideal situation.
But like playing his games, like I've never like. Nothing has ever felt like it's out of place. Like he's just trying to, just kind of shock people.
Well, not necessarily shock, but I do think he's just putting things in just because he can. Like that's how I get. That's the feeling I get from him.
Well, I mean, I guess you could say that about any game. It's like
I know.
Miyamoto puts a mushroom in because he can.
Yeah, but it like builds on it. Like it works because of like how the story or the setting that he's built up to that point. But like. Again, Beyond Two Souls. Like,
I think
what happened?
I think he just butt hurt. Just come back to us.
I don't know.
Come back to us.
I'm looking forward to playing the game. I don't know.
Imagine if Heavy Rain was the last game instead of Beyond Two Souls.
Yeah,
I can't, because that's not the reality we live in, is it?
Yeah.
So like,
you can ignore anything you want in life.
It's like every other game is good. So I mean, he's due for a good one now.
Yeah. So you're looking forward to it?
Yeah, I am. I think it looks really cool. I didn't see that scene though. I didn't.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Yeah, they showed that, and they showed like the detective scene.
Oh, okay. Because when I think of like domestic abuse scenes, like stuff like that, like Wolfenstein 2 had a pretty intense.
Oh my god.
Really intense moment.
Dude, please.
Spoilers.
Sorry, spoilers.
Well,
it's super intense moments in Wolfenstein 2 when you dive into Blazkowicz, his childhood.
Oh, it's so good.
It's
dude.
messed up.
Please play that game for the love of God.
I said I wanted to, but you were making me play the first one first.
Yeah, because you need to.
I have both of them.
And that's why I can't play it. He's got them both.
But no, like Wolfenstein 2 had like super intense, like hard to watch scenes but it's done in a way like where that game is obviously very relevant to today. A lot of the stuff they talk about is still extremely relevant.
Sure.
And something like that, like you're just seeing it. Honestly, I kind of froze for a moment because it was so intense, and like watching it all happen, like it's scary.
It added so much to that.
It did. It added a lot of depth, like a shit ton.
It's like I already love BJ Blazkowicz, but like those scenes just, I mean, it added so much to his character, and like you understand why he believes what he believes, and it's just like I hope like like Detroit will have like basically things like an intense scene like that is the reason why this android is now rebelling and doing these things and trying to fix the world.
Soul.
Right. Yeah. Well, in that case, I repeat it. I'll say it till the end of the time. Is that I'm looking forward.
It's like beyond never happened.
No. Is that like I'm looking forward to video games kind of taking on these topics the way that film has done so. Like instead of it being like these popcorn movies, like now we're like looking at some pretty intense content that is thought provoking and not meant to just be like, and look at this, which there's an argument for, like, is it desensitizing us or is it actually making us more aware? That's a whole different, maybe a bonus round discussion. But I'm glad the fact is that it's coming into video games as well. Yeah. And as long as David Cage, who does have a large backing, does have a cult following, is if he does something a lot of games haven't done, and implement that into his game, it could be not trend setting. I don't want it to sound like domestic violence in games is trend setting.
It's a new trend.
But setting the trend of like putting more realistic and like maybe some hard to watch things in video games for people that like have to deal with. I think that's a really great idea. Yeah. So we'll see what he does and how he does it. Now the thing is that I want to bring up one more thing, but we've seemed to run out of time.
No.
So
oh darn.
I know the thing we here at Multiplayer, when we get on tangents, we'll go on the tangent.
We talk about
all the
Cage.
Way. Right. Yeah. I will kind of like just put it out there, and I'll say we'll talk about it potentially next time. This isn't like a time-sensitive situation, but a game that is made by the developers called Question, which is a studio created by made up of BioShock 2, BioShock Infinite, and Dishonored veterans, has come out with a new co-op horror game called The Blackout Club.
Yeah.
It came out with a teaser.
Or a trailer, yeah. They came out with a teaser trailer for it, and that is something that I would really like to talk about on the next episode, or maybe something soon. Because we have been talking about what is that team doing, after BioShock. So that is for a different time, another discussion. But there is one last announcement. Wait, there's more.
Part-time UFO.
Yeah. That too.
That's a good game.
It's a good game.
Well, HAL Laboratories made a game on the cell phone. It's called
On the cell phone.
Part-time UFO. Play that shit. It's dope. Check it out. We do have an announcement here at Multiplayer to let everyone know that not only will we be going on a...
I forgot.
I didn't know what it was about. Yeah. I thought it was going to be the fashion.
It's like, I'm quitting. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to be going on a 2-week hiatus here at Multiplayer because we're working on something. And that something is, the next time you see us, we'll actually be in a new set entirely. We are deciding to kind of broaden our situation for the viewing pleasure of you. So
basically we're gonna have like a new little like set.
New studio space.
New studio space. Should be a little bigger, a little better, a little prettier, little timers going off because Guillermo set that for some reason.
I don't know why.
But it should
Your
be.
time's done. Sorry.
it should be pretty awesome. So like if you're watching the YouTube version of this, it should look nice and pretty.
It'll be really cool.
So, exactly.
We basically need like 2 weeks to kind of rebuild our set and make it pretty cool.
So if you guys will be so gracious as to offer that to us, we will come back and give you more of what you love, and that is everything video games and video game related. And we'll probably have more announcements too in terms of content that'll be coming onto the channel after this new set move happens. So be looking out for that, guys. Thank you again so much for watching. We want to go ahead and give a special thank you to DJ CUTMAN for his intro and outro music, that chiptune 8-bit awesomeness. You can actually also find more of his work on his website at djcutman.com or his SoundCloud. And also you can follow more of Multiplayer's back behind the scenes stuff, or backseat sobriety test.
What?
What? You ever listen to it's a callback joke. Anyways, you can check out more of our stuff behind the scenes at Go Multiplayer on both Twitter and Instagram. You can also follow our personal pages. For me specifically, Instagram is at Guillermo_Dorado, and on Twitter at Mastorado. You can find Zach where?
You can find me at Zach Matzganis, ZACKMATZGANIS.
Glory.
You can look at what? And you can check out my Twitter. I just put up a picture earlier today
It was really funny.
from Part-Time UFO. It was a great picture because you're a little claw machine in that game, and you're just like helping people do stuff. I had to build like a pyramid of cheerleaders, and I did a terrible job. Those cheerleaders are just in a pile of bodies. And
Well,
it
there
looks
you go. Check
fantastic.
that out.
So check that.
And then, Hav, where can we find you?
I'm also on Twitter at multiplayeredhav, and that's it.
No
It's like a
pictures.
weird, like, so tell us about yourself.
No
huh?
pictures, no nothing, but it's there.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
You can also follow our other two vets here at Multiplayered.
Vets.
Yeah, that's what they are. We're vets here.
They're vets.
You can follow Nathan Redfern at Multiplayered Nath. He is our PC resident gamer. You met him a couple episodes ago, and you'll be meeting him probably soon in the future again. And we also have
Meeting him again.
yeah, you will meet him doubly so. And we also have our Xbox resident gamer, Mick Wood. You can find him on Instagram and Twitter at MickToTheWood. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing your beautiful, beautiful faces in 2 weeks' time. So until then, keep on grinding, and we'll see you at the respawn.
Later.
Love you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd like to give a big ol' special thank you to Jaden Lawrence, Arturo Madeira, and Mercha Dan Krolpataru. If you want to receive shoutouts like these awesome, beautiful people, be sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/multiplayered. See you next time, players.